Hello and welcome to another episode with Opulence with Gia. If you are new here, I am Gia, your host with the mostest, and I am a clear channel for Mother Agua and the Marcadians. And of course, if you are curious to know what that word really means, everything is linked below in the description for you to discover more regarding my mission, my values, and who is Mother Agua. And today I have a very, very pristine guest on the show with me. And her name is Casey. And me and Casey met through a beautiful Mother Malia Hive connection. And it was instant connection. Instant connection. And Casey is, we were just talking about this. She's actually a mental projector that can see beyond your actual physical flesh and see everything that is going to happen and has happened within the body energetically and physically. So yes, she is the body guide. She is a best-selling author. She has been on TED Talks. She has her own podcast as well and runs a very healthy, nourishing business, is an entrepreneur of Worthy and Well, but ideally she is your body whisper to millions. Casey, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that introduction. For your listener, I asked Mother Agua to introduce me in a channeled way, and how you shared about my gift, yes, as a mental projector and as me, of really seeing into all elements of energy and physicality and emotion and how that imprints on the body. I have never heard someone introduce me in that way. And when you shared that, my whole body lit up and I started to get what I call the truth tingles. So it's how my clairsentience shows up, which is my sort of primary intuitive sense. So I feel seen. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm so excited for this conversation.
Me too. I'm thrilled. I did not know what was going to come out of my mouth when you said introduce me. I just thought, oh boy, okay, we'll see what happens. And and I'm very excited. And for those who are tuning in as well, Casey's also actually a very pristine channel. She just works it through the physical, I would say, through the body. So this conversation again is going to be between two channels, and I can already feel the gold coming out. I can already feel the brewing, and we are going unhinged, by the way. We don't have a topic in mind. We don't have a theme. We don't even know how this happened, but we're here together and we're going to talk about something and it's going to land.
Buckle up, friends.
Yeah, buckle up. But talking about the body more and more, I was just sharing with Casey that I've been through a major transition in my life. I just closed a 7-year cycle with myself, the old version of me, with a lot of people, places, and things. And I'm redefining myself now and finding, real meaning of sovereignty, of freedom, and who am I really? Like, who am I now as a channel of Mother Agua? Because things have really shifted and my body's shape shifted. I don't look the same. I don't. If you look at pictures of me 7 months ago, my eyes were more almond shaped and they're a bit closed. Now they're more round in a kapha sense. And they're brighter. And my physical body as well has become more feminine. I have curves now. I've never had curves. So in that transition, my body has basically reflected everything that I was going to become in 6 months. I did not realize that though, but my body knew first and it started to shape shift like that. And now I know why, because I'm so in my feminine flow. And again, I think it's going to show through my business, right? Helping people regain their sovereignty in the feminine way, not the masculine way, right? And have that pure harmony and balance there. But I would love to know if you've had a similar experience, like your body had already started to show you everything that was about to come.
Yes, absolutely. I have a mentor who often says consciousness is always ahead. We look back and connect dots like, oh, this led to that, which led to that. And in the moment, consciousness is ahead such that you're already being prepared for the future in the now. And so part of the ascension journey and the self-awareness journey, and I would also say the embodiment journey, is to start to see what's happening, what you're being prepared for in the now, instead of having to look back to make sense of things. And the body will also show you what's coming first.
Mm.
There's so much that's already unlocked with just that introduction. First off, I want to say part of why we're here together is what I really do in my business is I support people who've gone through a big life change or awakening, which is often a death, divorce, diagnosis, a breakup, entry into parenthood, a spiritual awakening. And it has shaken them and their bodies and their nervous systems such that they are now asking really deep, meaningful questions like, who am I now? And what am I really here for now? What is my purpose and mission now? And certainly for most folks, and I'm not going to assume that this is true for you, you're on a whole other level, Gia, Mother Agua. And for most folks, and you are still in a human body, so your human is still going through a process that requires gentleness and care and time. And for most folks, after this big life experience, there is a need to go inward. Often I find people explore on their own healing. They start to explore on their own. What is my body doing now? They'll start to do some self-study, dive into podcasts, attune to different bits of wisdom. And there's a natural internal processing that happens at the start of that journey. We could call that event a trauma in the trauma-informed world, one might, or we could call it an opening, a broken openness into ascension, into their new reality, into greater alignment. And in many ways, from the human perspective and the spiritual perspective, it is both. And when something happens that opens someone in a really intense way, they're opened on all levels in their energy field, in their body, in their spirituality, in their emotions. And there's a timely process, a perfect timely process, a process in divine perfection and in divine timing that unfolds. And so when people come to me, they are ready to integrate what the heck just happened and build their new reality. I support them with attuning to what I call their ultimate self and their ultimate self vision, their ultimate purpose. And through nervous system regulation and human design work and my intuitive gift of sensing what's happening in the field by way of the body, we activate that person's full sovereignty.
Yes.
And then again, there's a process of integrating that and living into it.
Mm.
So as soon as you started to share your experience, I was like, oh, this is why we're here. This is why we're here. This is part of why we're here. This
Yeah.
is a small piece of why we're here. And to answer your question about the body, yes, it shows up in the body first. In fact, you know, in the book that I co-wrote called The Mind Body Way, we share that 80% of information traveling between the body and the brain travels from the body to the brain. Take that in. 80% body to brain. And so most of us are walking around the world living from the neck up, valuing, of course, because of our conditioning, our programming, and the like masculine dominant way that we're
Yeah.
told we need to be. We're programmed that the power is in our minds, in our logic, in our thinking processes. And yet, facts are 80% of information between the body and the brain travels from the body to the brain. And so what are we doing when we're leaving the body out and we're not attuning to sensation or nervous system regulation as part of our evolution? Well, we're leaving out the majority, not okay, yeah, I was gonna pull back on that, but that's me filtering the channel, the majority of our freaking wisdom, the
Yes.
majority of our wisdom. And the other thing that I'm feeling called to mention is like, of course, if we've lived in a masculine dominant world, there's going to be a swing to learn the feminine way, to drop into flow. Tapping into the body, some might say, is an inherently feminine process. I don't necessarily agree with that. I actually think we're on a process of integration, that the powerhouse visionary business owners, leaders, founders, change agents, guides of the new world will be the integrated ones. will be the ones who are as wise about their human self as they are about spirituality and the energies that they channel.
Yes. I love the way you channel, by the way. You should be paid to just channel.
Thank you.
That was phenomenal because this is the thing. We're constantly put back in our brain. We're placed there from starting from kindergarten, like the age of 3 or 4. What do you think? What's happening? Become a critical thinker, think independently, freedom thinking, think. Like we're constantly placed back in the brain when it's all about the body. And it's so funny when you say that too, because as a channel, we know this, how important the body is to keep the gates and channels activated and pristine and clear. Because if you don't have a pristine temple, you cannot channel. I'm going to just say that. You can't channel to your full potential. You'll get nuggets maybe here and there, but you need to have a inhabitable, like your temple needs to be in a pristine condition for a certain consciousness to actually come through. And also from a spiritual perspective, how Mother Agua always shows me too in the record keepers is when I go into the Akashic realm for record keeping and everything, the records are not in my head. I'm not reading the records from my brain, from my mental body. I'm reading them from my gut, my stomach, and I can see the record wisdom is actually stored in certain points of the body.
Yes. When I channel from the Akashic records, I get a body sensation first.
Yes.
I feel via my body energy moving. My head might be moving side to side. I might feel a swirling sensation in my chest. I might feel tingles down my arms. I might feel a pressure or a pulsing in my face. I might start to salivate. I
Yes.
feel a physical sensation. And as I sit with it, I ask for more information to be revealed because part of integration. So, okay, the body is wise on its own. It's wise on its own. It's wise and we can trust what the body's doing without having a way to articulate it. Period. Healing can happen directly by way of the body, simply through allowing what's happening in the body to move without getting in the way of it. That is true. And given that we live in a world where we often validate what's happening in the body through words, and given that we also have big, beautiful brains, articulating what is happening or the message that's coming through the body with words is a powerful integration technique that is a bottom-up approach, a body-mind approach. And so when I'm channeling in the Akashic records, definitely I get a physical sensation, I attune to an energy, and then the energy is symbolic of a message that comes through my voice in
Yes.
words, often clear, potent words or visions, or I hear something, or I'm being shown a texture or a metaphor or what have you. And it's my job to share it without filtering and allow myself to watch what wants to come through. So I haven't actually talked about in much detail with anyone else how they actually like process, how they actually experience their own channel or how they experience the records. And so it kind of just blew my mind right now that you shared where it starts for you.
Yes. It's all like it starts from my feet and it starts to go up. I can feel because I hold codes of the water. So I can feel like the wave, the waters starting to come up into my body immediately. Like I'm about to soak into the ocean where the records are, and it's coming through my body. Like I can literally see it. And I feel all the information coming through my gut, like going up in
Mm,
my heart. I can feel the sensation. I can feel my clients
mhm,
resistance or hesitation, whatever they're feeling in their heart space. And then it goes to my brain to be like, okay, word this
mm,
to your client. And it's wild that you're saying all this too, because I've also realized so many of us don't like to talk. Like
mm,
we struggle with words. Like we always say, oh, there's not enough words. I don't know what word to put here. I don't understand this or whatever it is. And I know multiple channels and psychics have said that. I've said it too, that we're going to go into a very telepathic world or we
Yes.
telepathically communicate. And this is probably why, Casey, because the body doesn't have a label or a meaning. It is what it is.
Hmm.
How do you word that? Like, what word will satiate that description? It will be
Hmm.
human touch. If I am feeling something and I want to transfer energy, and this is what I'm just getting right now. Like, if we were in person right now and there was wisdom coming through my body, I would hug you.
Hmm.
I wouldn't try to speak to you. I would hug you. I would connect my heart to your heart. And I would allow you to receive the transmissions and the energy and the consciousness that is coming forward for you to really know through my body. I would not try to word it to you, because what's also happening is when we put words to things, our brain wants to process it. And then it's also disconnecting us from the actual body. And it's so funny because I don't even want to use the word feelings. I want to use the word sensations. Like, what are your senses that are activated? What are your senses saying? What truth is being transmitted, right? Is it clairsentience? Are you getting an image? Are you hearing something? So I feel like that when we say it's going to be telepathic, it's also going to be human connection and human touch. Just
Hmm.
holding space for people, holding their hand as they speak, right? Not having to constantly fill the air with words, because I feel like we do that a lot. We've been doing that so much, right? And communication. But the real communication, as we know, is just this.
Yeah.
The knowing the knows.
Yeah, there's a presence that's felt. There's an energetic experience that's felt long before the words come up. And, if we want to throw some science on it, even though, we're probably moving beyond
Yeah.
that paradigm, it's like that's how the nervous system works. We're like communicating via the energetic electrical system in the body. It's like that there's a term called co-regulation, where we're regulating together with our nervous systems through without words, simply through presence, and not even being in the exact same physical space. We're doing that together when you're in Canada and I'm in Spain, and we're doing that with all things. I'm co-regulating with my lemon tree every morning. The whole yard is impacting my energy field because that process is taking place. And it's interesting when you spoke about transferring energy through touch in addition to telepathically, it immediately brought to me an image of my partner, who is a pilot and who works 17 days on. He's flying all around the world and 13 days off. And we've been together now for 8, 9 months. And every time that we reconnect after he's been away, there's an embrace, a heart to heart connection, and tears,
Yeah.
and a transference of love that happens without needing to say anything. And I think, you listener have had the experience of that. Like, that's an experience of love, right? When you're in love, there's an experience that does not need to be articulated, and it cannot be articulated, especially when you align with your divine partner and you just know. And I was single for most of my life. I've been single for most of my life. And for most of my life, people have projected their experiences onto me, telling me I should like give him a chance, or, maybe you're too picky, etc., etc. And thank goodness for my channel, which I'm realizing now I've been connected with since I was a very young kid, who always knew and could envision and see and feel into the future and feel into my reality without having any physical evidence of that in the form of other people embodying what I want or what I know is for me. And the experience of meeting my partner is one of those experiences of like, I just know, and people talk about that often. I mean, a little part of me would question it. And then when I came back into my heart and into my truth, it's like that was what I knew was for me. I knew that I would just know. And so if I'm having qualms about someone on the first or second or third date, why am I going to continue? I'm not, because that is me betraying myself and betraying my channel.
Bingo.
rather than trusting my channel, being discerning, being okay and whole with myself as a single person, embracing the wonderful, great gifts, being okay with being single my whole life if that is the way that it's meant to unfold. I just knew that I would know when the right person came along, even if it was in the next lifetime.
I first I got emotional when you said the embrace part because that is everything to me. People always say, oh, you have to, and I'm talking from a very 3D perspective, to find your loved one and even the meaning of love, it's so distorted.
Mm-hmm.
It's very give and take.
Conditional.
It's
It's
very,
conditional.
yeah,
It's codependent.
yes. But your love for the other person is literally just adoring them and holding space and creating beautiful experiences with them, being celebrated, celebrating them. Love is a massive celebration coming from within. It doesn't matter if you don't like the same foods. Or you can't, the silly things that they tell us. Like, you have to like pasta because what are you gonna eat for dinner? I don't even eat dinner. Like, that's not even a reality for me.
Yeah, I mean, the way of the future is being sovereign, being
Yeah,
together and being sovereign, embracing your unique differences and the qualities of your unique beingness, including what, when, why, how you eat, or what, when, why, how you move, and being together in that with reverence and respect for the differences.
yes,
I think about my partner who's like, he teaches me all of the time communication without words. He can often not find the words, and it's like, okay, got the transmission. And I am a talker.
yeah,
And I will say, when you find the perfect words for an embodied sensation, there's nothing better.
yeah,
It's like a full wholesome integration of the 3D with another level of awareness and of being. And I'm a morning person, he's a night owl. And there's so many things that we are opposite
yeah.
with. And I never thought way back when that that would work for me. And when I get up 2 hours earlier than him, I have my time for channeling. And he gets to wake up in his own energy and slowly like come into being, preparing himself to be ready to be in communion with me. And then I turn mushy around like 11 p.m. or earlier, sometimes 9. And, I'm staying up later now that I'm in Spain.
Yes.
And he's such a night owl. He'd prefer to stay up till 1 a.m. And so I go to bed and he tucks me in and he cuddles me and he wishes me good night. And he gets up and he like honestly washes dishes and cleans the house and
Okay.
lays out a blanket for me on my little like in my little channeling corner. I know I'm just like feeling so much love for him right now. And then he joins me after and I'll wake up momentarily and then we'll fall asleep.
I love that because you know what, Casey, I'm gonna give you credit here for
Thank
attracting a
you.
partner. I am because like you said, you're so committed and comfortable with who you are in your sovereignty. You did not depend or rely on someone else to come for any means, right? You're in this relationship because you 110% are in it and you want to be there for yourself and the other individual. And also, you stayed true to you. And that will magnetize anything that is true for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you became the magnet for this individual to step in and serve you. And he does it from his heart. It's not an
Mm-hmm.
expectation, it's not a demand, it's nothing. It's just love. And I'm going to give you credit for staying so committed to yourself because you can only attract this unconditional sacred union if you stay unconditional with yourself. You have to get unconditional. I'm gonna make 100K because I deserve it. I'm gonna do this because I deserve it. No, sweetheart. We just experience life. We just do things because we desire them, and that is all. There's no condition to anything. And you led a life like that until this point, and you continue to. So of course, you called in a very sacred partner that's not conditional. You created the conditions for it. And I'm going to give you hats off because this is energetic. Yes, everything's meant to be. We, signed up for the experiences. I understand that, but order to anchor it into your 3D reality, there are 3D aligned actions you must take as a co-creator. And you did it. You did
Thank
it.
you.
And I love that because from the cultural background I come from as a South Asian woman, marriage is everything.
Mhm.
Soon as you hit 18, they're like, oh, you're going to have to get married now in a couple of years. Where's your
Mm.
partner? Who are you dating? What's going
How
on?
did how did that impact your dating life and your experience of love, especially up until this point? And then I
Yeah.
also want to ask like what you're navigating
Mhm.
now. But
Yes.
like how did that impact you?
Mhm. So basically, growing up, I'll be honest with you, personally, me and my channel, I never visualized a big wedding. I didn't visualize a ring. I literally, when I heard the word marriage, I visualized a happy family. Me, my two kids running in an open field. That's it. I didn't visualize a wedding dress, none of that. But culturally around me, marriage was like the biggest thing. And then also, I would see all my aunts cry after they got married. They're like, oh, your life turns into shit once you're married.
Wow.
They would hype it up and then boom, crash it down immediately. And it was everything. And it was, if I were to, okay, how am I going to put this in words? Marriage for a very long time from the countries like India, Middle East, and stuff, the divine masculine is being shown to us, the divine feminine, as a safety net.
Mhm.
Oh, your partner can buy you things. You have financial, if you marry a doctor, you're good. Just marry a doctor. You're financially set then. If you ever want to go out in public, you need your husband with you because then nobody will bother you. If you're alone, people are going to hit on you. You're a target. You should be scared. Take a man with you. The masculine is really presented to us as a safety net. And that's why a lot of women crumble after they get married because they realize the masculine is not rising to that occasion. They don't feel safe around their husbands, and especially in arranged marriage scenarios. And also, in that, when you're so constricted and you're being raised in a very conservative environment, you sneakily date. So how much do you really get to know the individual? You don't. You meet up, you have your playtime with them, and then you go. You don't get to know this individual deeply. And then you get married and you're like, oops, married the wrong person. And now I'm stuck. I can't get divorced because that's shameful in my
Mhm.
community. It's a safety net. And for a very long time, I was convinced of that. I was convinced of that. I need a man because, who's going to pay like the bills? How am I going to buy a house? How am I going to do this? Or how am I going to like drive myself? Even though I do everything on my own, I was a rebel from day one. I never listened to my parents. I was like, someone has to tell them they're not in a village anymore. And that's going to be me. Right? Like I was a rebel. But then once I turned 18, 19, I started looking for the one. I just did because the conditioning, the programming, and also I wanted to live on my own. I wanted to move out of my house. And I was present in order to move out of your parents' house, you have to get married.
Hmm.
I was 19 when I met my partner, loved him, loved him. Like I immediately had a visceral response to him. I was like, he's the one. And he was like, he was for 7 years. We've co-created amazing experiences. He helped me land Mother Agua in my body. But what did that do to me? Right? It put me in this very awkward cycle of being managed and controlled by a man. And I didn't realize that until now. Like there were so many leaks around me of that because I used him as a safety net. Any
Hmm.
problem I had, I'd immediately pick up the phone and call him and be like, come here and do this and do that. And my parents would always tell me, oh, you're traveling the world, but we feel okay because Daman's with you. You have a man with you. So you're safe to travel. So we don't question you when Daman's there. So you can do whatever you want, but Daman has to be there. So I was like, okay, I want to travel. Who's available to travel? Whatever man. I was just trying to live out my life. And of course, to none of his fault, because he also has programming from the same cultural background, right? of the man has to provide for the woman. The man has to take care. So he was under so much provider pressure. He was going to collapse. And we're both born and raised here in Canada, by the way. But the programming was so deep. And I just realized that none of us are being sovereign. We're just playing out the programming. I'm trying to be this woman that I'm not. I don't care for safety nets. I don't care for capacities. I don't care to be so dependent on anybody. I know who I am, and I'm losing that in this relationship.
Mhm.
Same for him. He's not responsible to provide for anybody. Why is he working overtime all the time? That's not right for him either, right? I'm not his responsibility. Where's
Mhm.
his joy? Where's his pleasure? What does he want from life? Somehow in the 7 years, we got so caught up in people pleasing and the program was running so deeply that we forgot that it's not just about being in a relationship. There's more to life. And now we're both exploring that. Like, who are we as individuals? And why are we in this relationship? And how has this relationship served us? And this contract, because it is a contract, you know, it may be it's probably come to its completion. He had to land Mother Agua. He had to help me grow spiritually, and I had to help him expand his horizons, take him around the world, and attune him to his highest ascension point and expose him to spirituality. He goes to sound baths now. He's a yogi now. He was like, we've completely transformed, but culturally, that was the programming that we were playing out in our relationship very subconsciously, very subconsciously. And it was a very happy 7 years. It was a very good 7 years. I have zero complaints. He's a very lovely, lovely person. And it was very difficult to even say this to him because there was so much shaming. Oh, we booked wedding vendors. What are you going to tell people? And my body would shake. I would go, like, I couldn't breathe. I would do that. I'd be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm going to disappoint billions of people. I'm going to break so many hearts because we, both of us, spent 7 years nourishing every relationship. I went to all his cousins' weddings. He came to all of mine. We supported each other so much, so deeply. But again, we did that in the name of being there for each other. That program was running everything. It really was. It was very conditional. And I mean, I love him. He was a soulmate. He is a soulmate. He is for 7 years, though, right? But in transitioning out of the 7 year cycle, it's been very, very humanly painful. Body shakes, cries, anxiety off the charts. But there's this deep knowing that I need to be on my own.
Mhm.
There's this deep knowing that I need to recreate foundations, anchor them. I haven't broken the news down to my family yet.
Just
Um,
send them this podcast.
I know, right? Here you honestly. But the
Just
thing
kidding.
is, I'm so ready to talk about my experiences because I feel like a lot of women, especially South Asian women, are in relationships because of the programming and they have no idea.
Mhm.
And I allowed a lot of leaks, Casey, in my relationship. I allowed so many leaks. And I did not realize that until I was moving out of it. I was like, why was I behaving this way? I didn't want to be here. Why was I here? Why was I doing this? And it was all that conditional programming culturally coming through.
Mhm.
And that is why my body just shaked for the last 6, 7 months. It just shaked. I would repel things. I'd be like, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna die. That's literally what I would say to him. I would run out of his house. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I have so much work to do. I'm gonna leave. And then like my body would just shake and I'd just be like running out of the house. And I'm like, why am I doing this? He's such a nice man. He did nothing to me. Like,
Mhm.
why am I being so mean to him? And I just realized my body doesn't want to be here. It's
What an
con-
epic initiation into your body and into your truth and into your everything. And it's no mistake that an initiation into your body is an initiation into your you-ness.
Yeah, and it was honestly, I'm not gonna highlight this as, oh, I just like, no, it was very difficult for me. Like,
Yeah.
I wobbled like nobody else. I just thought, no, I'm a sovereign being. I can choose him with my sovereignty. I went through the whole thing. I took him to the horses, Casey, and I told the horses, save my relationship. I love him because there is love. There is. I spent
Mhm.
7 years. I have beautiful memories with this man, and he's really held me. He has in the best way possible. But when something's over and your body is just not a frequency match, it's not a you
Mhm.
can't. It just you won't be able to hang on. And I'm really happy of this awareness I have because I feel like a lot of times this is where women become miserable.
Mhm.
They get that diagnosis or they just become grumpy and it's like, oh, you're going through menopause. No, they're not. They're just very unsatisfied where they are with their body.
Yeah. And this is happening on a mass level right now. And not just women becoming satisfied. The your story coming from a man's mouth, I have also heard. And I think that is really worth sharing. That sometimes in the relationship, it is the man who is awakening. It
Yes,
is the husband who is going through a level of spiritual growth and ascension where their partner is no longer a match physically, frequency wise. It's like there's literally no turning back.
there isn't.
And I have this fire in me around advocacy for the men because I work with them. I work with them and I'm like, this whole like this happens for women and this happens for men. It's like, nope, we're humans.
Yeah.
And the same energetic is showing up regardless of gender.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing it everywhere. And I think it's for a really good reason. Would you like to hear my theory about why relationships are really being shaken up right now?
Oh my God, give it to me. Yes.
Okay. And I believe over the next few years, I think this started probably a couple years ago. More intensely, I started to notice it, but I think it's going to continue, for the next few years, that there will be a lot of changes in relationships because of the way consciousness is working and is elevating. Uh, what you just shared. It's like when you elevate to a certain frequency, being emitted by your body and nervous system, but also just like being emitted in your energy field, there can be a great sensation of misalignment. It's like people talk about healing and transformation as if it's going to be a gentle journey. Well, especially if you haven't been connected to your body's wisdom, especially if you have not been paying attention to that bottom up wisdom that's always being shared with you. And especially if you're ignoring it, and if your mind is reigning supreme, you will be awakened and it might be feisty, but you will be awakened.
Yeah.
And this is happening as we elevate our consciousness as a collective, where the awakening of one person in a partnership where the other person either does not want to or cannot keep up, it will shake up the relationship and the contract will be over. And there will be a massive resistance to it. I
Yes.
see all the time, like, I really want it, like you said, we went to the horses. I love him. And it's like there comes a point where there's literally no going back. And I think this is absolutely critically important as we create a new world, as we create a new paradigm, a new earth, a new world, because sacred union is here for a bigger purpose. Sacred union is not just about two sovereign beings playing out their unique individual purposes. It is about a 1 + 1 = 1,000,000 approach. I'm solid in my sovereignty. My partner is solid in their sovereignty. And together we are solid in the sovereignty of the relationship. And the relationship is here to create the new earth. And I just know this is to be true. And even when I was calling in my partner and I wasn't finding someone that I wanted to choose to be with, I knew, and I would tell people like, I'm not just here to like have awesome sex and cook dinner with my partner. Like I am here for us to carry out a purpose that is bigger than either of us can do alone. And I don't need to know what that is to know that that's true. And to know that the person who really comes into my life where it's a frequency match, that this is what we're doing because it's go time. And when we talk about like the quickening of the ascension process, or even when people talk about the new earth or in human design, the new paradigm come 2027, like we're approaching that time where people, we can feel it. We can feel that we're being called, you and I are already in the new earth.
Yes.
We're called to help anchor it and to pull people over the bridge, to be the guides and the stewards for others as they're going through their reckoning,
Yes.
because that is going to happen. If you have not been paying attention to your body and the consciousness of your body's wisdom, and if you have not been on a growth path, and if you, I was going to say, if you would like to choose it, doesn't even matter. You're going to be given an opportunity to choose it or not.
Yes. Yeah.
And it might make you feel like the earth is crumbling beneath, what a metaphor, the earth is crumbling beneath your feet. Well, it kind of is. And
Yeah.
it's for good reason. So for the person whose body is shaking and who is going through like deep, dark night of the soul moments, like I see you, you're in the process. It's going to get real good. I promise you it'll get real good. There
Better.
is expansion and ecstasy and bliss and intoxication with life. And, you know, like the number one thing that someone can do to create their ultimate success, their own version of their ultimate success, is number one, heal their trauma and look at the programming and conditioning. The number two thing that someone can do to really call in their ultimate success is know when it's time to stop healing trauma.
Yes.
Know when they've climbed up the mountain and they're standing at the tip in their highest ascension point as their ultimate self, and hold that frequency. Don't go climbing back down the mountain to dig up more shit. That's actually just going to pull you out of your purpose of anchoring in this new frequency that is joy. It's
Yeah.
finding joy and ecstasy in any human experience, including the grief, including the anger, including these things that we've judged as bad. It's like there's a way where we can be ecstatic with
Mhm.
whatever arises. And I believe we're headed into a space where we get to be the expansion.
Yes. There's a time where you just need to be. There's a lot of
Period.
doing happening. Oh, let me do this. Let me do that. No, you're done. Sit down. Sit down. You're done. Sit. That's happening to me right now because I just did a major transition. And me and Casey were talking about this earlier, our conversation. My throat's like out. My body's resetting and resting now because I'm going to the next level. I'm there now. And talking about sacred unions too, just like, with Mother Agua as well, she keeps telling me that we have to land the new wave and there needs to be a certain frequency match now to make babies.
Yes, yes, because the frequency of the souls coming in,
Okay.
like our female bodies
Hmm.
need to hold that frequency.
Yep.
So we must have a relationship with our bodies. We must have kindness to our bodies. When you talked earlier about being a pristine channel requires that you are a pristine steward of the vessel,
Yes.
what immediately came to me is what is most important about being a pristine steward of the vessel is absolute neutrality around how you treat the vessel. That is more important than only eating organic foods, for example.
Yes.
I I was a dietitian for a decade, and it was my dietetic background that helped me to see the power of embodiment, because I was helping people to connect with their bodies around wellness choices. And what was happening was they were connecting with their bodies around every choice, every purpose-driven choice. But in that process, I remember, and I was so young, like I was in my early 20s. I remember one video I made that said, like, the guilt is worse than the gluten. It's like the frequency that you're showing up for the practices that are for your body, the food you eat, the wellness practices, the movement practices, your sleep. It's like, if you're still beating yourself up, let's focus there. let's create neutrality and non-judgment. Okay, there's emotional eating happening and like binge eating late into the evening. How can we create neutrality around that experience and understand that you're actually just trying to regulate your nervous system with food because you haven't yet learned to feel emotions?
Yes.
Of course, it makes perfect sense. Anyone in your shoes would use food in this way. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Let's bring it into the light, bring it into neutrality. And from that space, the frequency of the body can upgrade such that we can hold these high frequency energies that want to come in as the new babies. And we also have to have, this is also why the body and the nervous system is so, so important, is for the frequency of the children that we will be birthing.
Yes.
The frequency of the children that we will be birthing will be such that they are unconditional love and peace and grace. They're not coded for that conditional love. They're not coded with trauma. So if their parents, well, haven't healed trauma and haven't actually brought themselves to the frequency of unconditional love and non-judgment, well, the kids just won't even come in.
They won't come
We
in.
need to be able to hold them. We need to be able to raise them. We need to be able to protect them and also realize how they are our teachers. I mean, even not in the new paradigm, when we look back, we talked about this earlier, come like, grade school, you start to think. Well, when you're born, you're embodied. When you're born, you root for milk when you're hungry and you stop when you're full. When you're born, you're embodied. Our babies are teaching us already. They have been teaching us. We just haven't been listening. We've been thinking like we're the smart ones when really we're just conditioning our children to be way in our heads and out of our intuitive knowing. Babies know. Children know. They're connected to the source. They're connected to light. They're connected to an expansive ecstatic frequency. They're intoxicated with the mundane. That is like how we're coded to be. Let's return to that.
Yes. And I speak to my spirit baby all the time, by the way, because I want to understand what conditions my children want to come into so I can start creating them.
Brilliant.
First thing, first thing my baby, spirit baby said to me is, I don't want religion.
Mm.
Religion. And I just thought, okay, no problem. I think
Oh,
it's,
I have chills.
yeah, I already know it's a bit of a cult situation going down the religion, but that's okay. We won't hurt feelings here. But I don't agree with religion either. Canceled, right? No school, no shoes. Okay, canceled, right? Having that communication continues creating those conditions. Also, what I get to is all the babies born starting 2025 and later will all be coming from planets we've never heard of. They're actually a part of an alien race, to say. And their brains and their entire anatomy is going to be completely different. They are coming in with a new body.
Whoa.
They're not going to come in the way we are. Their digestion is not going to be as big. They don't have these big intestines, small, large. No, they are simply going to be eating foods minimum that can purify and liquefy in the digestion. They have zero interest in like eating this big huge meals and things like that. That is what I'm reading off here, of course, but I'm getting the anatomy is going to be different because they're coming from different plants we've never heard of. So we're landing right now. What's happening is we're okay, let's go deep into this.
Okay, I'm fascinated right now. I'm just like all ears. Give
Yes,
it to
because
me.
what I in my vision and of course in the astral plane, um us light leaders that are that are here now, us light leaders and stewards of the new wave. We came on many timelines before on planet Earth, many timelines. We hid keys all around the globe. Now we're collecting those keys, and this is why a lot of light workers are traveling so much and being relocated as well. We're collecting those keys and we're unlocking those portals and gates of wisdom, and we're helping anchor in the new wave and the new consciousness on the planet. So we're unlocking the wisdom. The wisdom's already here. We're just simply picking up the key and unlocking it and anchoring in the new portal of consciousness. And as we are anchoring in this new elevated of consciousness, it's allowing us to move to 12D and above. 12D, not 5, 12D and above, and anchor in the new portal of consciousness through babies we will be holding. And also, I always get the race will be different, plants will be different, the anatomy of the babies will be different, and their way of being will be completely transformational. Our current systems do not align and will not know how to work with these babies. We have to relearn the body. And right now, me and my beautiful Soleil sister, Catherine, we're actually, we've been downloading the new meridian points, a new way of body and the new consciousness and everything, because someone's going to have to train these people now to steward the body in a way of a new wave I'm talking about, because antibiotics and things like that will just not work on these children. It just will not. Anything that's highly chemically done up will just not be there. They will need to hold rocks, move a certain way, and do things to upgrade the systems and move in that pattern. And everything's going to have to be retrained around the new body. There's a whole new body, physical body coming in. And even with birthing the womb as well. Of course, water birth are ideal, right? You should be giving birth in water, ideally. But also when the birth happens, the way the baby is meant to be held as well, as we see currently, we put the baby on the mother's chest for first contact. The mother and the baby need 90 minutes. 90 minutes, not 30 seconds. Oh, here, touch the body of your mom and then strip you away. No, 90 minutes. The baby needs to be there for 90 minutes, and the mother's chin should be on the top of the baby's, well, we'll say portal of consciousness, a crown chakra, because what's happening is the mom is in the realms. She's above in the Akashic realm, in 12D, 5D, wherever you want to be, but she's not in this dimension. She's channeling wisdom for this child. She is the vessel of being downloaded of things that are going to go through the baby's pineal gland and into the tail and have the channel activate. That is how you're going to activate your newborn's channel, is by through holding your chin, holding the baby's head right here and being the anchor for it, because the baby, the spirit's too new in the body. It's figuring out how to be in the body. You can support the body and regulate the nervous system as a mother. 90 minutes.
Okay, I've never, ever, ever heard this before, and my whole body is like chills, waves of chills, which is my truth signal, tears and chills. So I am taking that in and feeling it in my body. And also my mind is like what you just said about having your chin on the baby's head and there being a channeling happening. That just also makes logical sense to me. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we will need to learn how to work with their body too, right? So of course, we need to know how to work with our bodies,
Yeah.
right? And also a little TMI, but my audience is unhinged, like I said. In my transitional period, I've had the highest sexual drive. Highest. I've never craved intimacy this deep with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody else's hands on me but my own hands. I literally, and it's Mother Agua tells me it's a regeneration of the vortex. And when you are going to climax, you need to visualize things like literally in a vortex around you in your vaginal canal. And when you climax, visualize you birthing it out. And when you moan, you can have your natural moans and your sounds. Using the word I am and allowing your vortex to give you the next sentence is a form of channeling and birthing a creation out.
Whoa, that feels true. That feels powerful. That feels like, next level sex magic.
Yeah. So she's always telling me, regenerate your vortex now. When you've had a difficult day or things are not looking good for you, you feel so-called depressed, She said you need to just regenerate your vortex. You just got to get back in your yoni and recreate and re-lubricate it and sit in the magic there. And also, if you notice, as women, we actually sit on our yonis.
Yeah, okay. Something's coming to me that I'm just gonna trust it coming through. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say there is that part of the regeneration is the self-pleasure, the activating the sexual energy to create the vortex. Yes. Okay. And so you also come from a South Asian background. Like what is your connection with the yogic wisdom or yogic tradition?
Yes. So my parents are from northern India,
Okay.
and they're from the religion Sikh.
Okay.
Okay. And it's really been shielded from them.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to keep rolling with this thought. Like in the yogic wisdom, there's like brahmacharya is sort of like conservation of your sexual energy and sexual fluids. And what's kind of coming through me is like this is a male, like masculine teaching, because even what I mean is like this idea that in order to stay lubricated, in order to build ojas, the like substance that is responsible for radiance and vitality, etc., like brahmacharya or moderation with sex or sexual energy is part of that process. And what is happening for me is this like, yeah, that's for men. Like we know that when a man orgasms, they lose energy. But when a woman orgasms, she wants to go again and again and again. And it's building life force for me anyway. When I'm connected to my sexual energy, I'm a badass for days, especially with really amazing, beautiful sexual experiences. It's not taking something from me, it's giving something to me. So I think what I'm hearing myself say is like that wisdom doesn't apply to us.
It doesn't. It never has. And it's so
Exactly. It never has. It
never
never
has.
has.
It's so wild because the image I'm getting in my head. Oh, thank you, Mother Agua, for tipping me. If you go to the Egyptian culture or Middle Eastern culture and even Indian culture, look how taboo we are about sex. My aunt has 6 kids and she'd be like, I'm a virgin. Okay, girl.
Yeah.
Okay, girl. All right. Because there's so much shame around it, right?
Yeah.
They're very taboo around it. But if you go deeper into our history, where our kings and queens in India, in Egyptian, we had our pharaohs and empresses, they had orgies.
Right.
And in the orgies, one guy, 10 females. Why? Why were women in multiple numbers and men just like maybe one or two with like 15 girls? Because, and look, if you look at pictures in orgies, the women are in a circle.
Yeah.
Why are we what are we creating? What's happening here? The men they knew this. They needed feminine energy for creation. They multiplied it. So they bought highly attuned spiritual woman in a sex magic act and harnessed the feminine source for their creations and their magnitude. But no, 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 I'm a good man. I don't have sex. They would harness it. They would. Why did kings in India, they had multiple wives?
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's to harness that sexual energy, that creation life force energy. They knew. They knew when women are in their sexual power, how it benefits them. When, like you said, when we have sex with the man, we feel great. We feel love. The intimacy is beautiful.
If
But
it's good, if it's good, and if it's consensual, and if the man understands female pleasure, and if there's enough time taken with the woman, and if it's otherwise it sucks. Otherwise we're performing. And I am just going to say that because I know that every woman has had that experience, even if she won't admit it to herself.
no, 100%.
When it's about her, like holy shit, the power and the magic and the love and the creation and the good that's done with that energy. Absolutely. I cut you off. Keep going.
Okay, no, I love it. No, 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 we're here to chit chat. This is good. But you can see how it benefited them. Why did
Mhm.
every time a king got married to another wife, he got richer? They just kept getting richer. More wives they had, they were the richest kings.
Hmm.
They were harnessing the sexual power, the feminine sexual power. They knew it creates, they knew it. So you're right. That is a very masculine teaching. That teaching does nothing for us. It's not for us, it's for the man. The man needs to serve. What am I getting here? I'm getting more information about this.
The woman, period.
Yeah.
Because of that, for the good of, for the highest good of all. That takes nothing from the man. It literally serves the man. Like I'm thinking about yeah, just like my unhinged, here we go, my personal experience with like lovers, you know. And I'm thinking of one in particular who had sort of a fascination about this, like about this energy, you know. And there was so much trauma healing in the context of that space from sexual assault and abuse for me, you know. And because of the safety and because of the focus and because of the, you know, experience of it being about me, not something to be taken from me, you know. And my brain just like went, where did I just go? Where did I just come from? I feel like the point of this piece, what were you talking about right before?
Oh my gosh, why
You
is
know
my
what? You know
oh
when you're in full channel mode and then it just goes.
yes, yes, yes. I've been there. Yes, I was talking about men and serving
Oh,
women.
it's for the good of
Yeah,
all. It's for the good
serving.
of all. Ultimately, when a woman is completely filled and completely satisfied, like I remember experiencing for the first time, if I was really honest with myself, the first time actually desiring uh giving pleasure sexually. Before I felt pressured. I felt like I was doing it because of the transaction, because my time was cut short, you know? And so basically what I'm saying is the desire for the woman to like devour or create or pleasure uh, the man is directly connected to, is her sexual process being honored, which takes longer. It takes longer. There's more to it. We can have so many different types of orgasms, right? So when we're filled and overflowing, the creative vortex that's made, it's good for everyone. It's like ultimate pleasure and ultimate creation. You know, if we think about it from a spiritual perspective or what we're talking about right now, right? The like creative power of that force, but also on a human level, there's more pleasure.
Yes, and there's also something about Fountain of Youth down there.
Say more.
Like the more lubricated you are down there and the more sexually pleased you are, the more you regenerate faster. Aging does not exist. And you can activate that through your yoni. Your yoni also has a pineal gland. Your clitoris is not a clitoris. It's a wisdom keeper. It's like it has its own channel. It has its own system. So I would highly encourage anyone on this who's ever tuning in to speak to your clitoris. You can name it, but it's actually your pineal gland, and it's your clitoris nerve actually runs straight to your vagus nervous system and your pineal
Yeah.
gland. They are connected. Why are they connected if we were not meant to create and utilize that power?
Yeah, you're right. The vagus nerve has branches into like all of our pleasure centers in our whole, like not just the clitoris, the vulva, the like vagina, every
Yes.
part of us.
But what I'm getting is the like the clitoris in our like in a reproductive area in our flower, I'm gonna say, in our beautiful flower is it's it's very grand, they're saying. It's actually grander than the one up here. It's grand. That's the word I'm getting. It's very big, it's luscious, it wants to expand, it wants to hold energy and power. It wants to. And there's a deep connection with chocolate, cacao beans with the vaginal pineal gland. So actually what they're saying is um, when you are in your flow, actually, no, they're not flow. Sorry. Can I get more? New moon and full moon. We should be having raw cacao twice a month.
Mm.
Oh my God, today's new moon.
It is, and I have cacao in my I put rose petals on top, dried rose petals. Like I will be drinking that later, thanks to you in ritual.
I'm gonna go get some. Today's in Taurus. Yeah, this is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Oh, what just happened for you?
Taurus, it's all about body. It's about
Sexuality.
sexuality. Yeah. So no wonder we're talking about this today. Jesus, my goodness. I love our channel. I love when this stuff happens. But yes, and it's a flower and that wants to constantly blossom. And age is not a thing. Women that are being pleasured with the right energies from themselves or a lover, they don't age. They don't. They have that vibrancy in their eyes. They have also with your tongue, your taste buds. Sometimes elderly people will complain that their taste is kind of disappearing. You haven't had good sex. I'm sorry. Because that's also connected. I'm getting that's also connected. Like your taste buds, the more you are lubricated and activated down there, the more you can taste life.
Okay, so from a like nervous system, vagus nerve perspective, it makes perfect sense because what you're doing through sexual pleasure is you are activating or you're creating vagal tone, and the vagus nerve is responsible for your parasympathetic branch, which is your rest and digest, and like and when I think about taste, it's like your salvation, salivate. I said salvation, but I meant like when you salivate,
Yeah.
when you, right? Like that's the start of your digestive process is in your mouth through your saliva. Your saliva starts to break down food and then it goes into your digestive tract lower down. But when you think about the vagus nerve, it extends all the way through. So basically what I'm saying is like, of course, all of these things are connected and they're connected through the vagus nerve. And the lubrication of your pussy
Yeah.
through pleasure is inherently a strategy for vagal tone, which is what we all need to be more regulated in our society, to increase our capacity to hold our manifestations, to open up our channel, to enjoy our lives. Everyone's looking for vagal tone. There's all these different techniques. It's like orgasm and pleasure, especially for a woman, I'm going to say should be one of our primary go-tos for vagal tone. Why is it not? Shame, right? Okay, can we just evaporate any programming
Yeah.
around our sexual pleasure in divine perfection now?
Yes. And we're also
And
going to read any appearance of the vagina of your flower, any shame of the appearance of your vagina to evaporate now in divine perfection. Because a lot of
and
women get into bed because, oh, my vagina looks like this. Your vagina is a flower, and every flower is different.
any trauma that has kept someone from the truth of their own sexual pleasure, can we evaporate that now in divine perfection? I'm feeling like a healing on epic levels happening right now.
Yeah, and just
Like not sorry, what were you going to say?
I just forgot.
Hmm. Like like thank you for being you and being a channel and showing up here with me. and for setting the intention before we hit record that everything that comes out of us be in highest alignment with divine truth and love and source consciousness. Because the feeling I'm having is that our channels together are creating an epic healing,
They are.
not just for you and I, and not just for the person listening, but like through the ethers.
Yeah.
And and where we physically are, you in Canada, me in Spain right now, what you said earlier about like the call to move, it's because there are keys to unlock, there are codes, and also we are channels, so we're channeling that divine love into the physical places that we are in through our bodies. So it's like I'm literally feeling the ripples of that healing around our sexuality as women, like.
Yeah, this feels really, really big. Yes, thank you too. Thank you so much too, Casey.
Yeah.
Thank you too, because yeah, you're definitely here for the new wave. You're here for everything and everyone that wants to be and awaken to the new wave and help land the new consciousness. And so is me, my channel, my co-creator, Mother Agua, and she's been very, very adamant about bringing women back into their womb. And she always tells me that men also have a womb,
Mm.
and their womb is in their heart. That's how
That
they
makes
carry and nurture. We just do it from a different physical space, but men also have a womb, and it's in their heart.
a man in his heart is so beautiful. A man deeply grounded in his heart.
Yeah,
I just like I really do feel that women are making a huge difference in creating this new wave, landing this new consciousness, as you say, and not without men.
no, we can't do
Not
it.
without men. We
No,
can't. And especially, I've just noticed in my work with men, especially with men who have like quite a lot of power and wealth, that like through the work they come into their hearts. And
yeah,
then that power and wealth is moved in ways that are exponentially powerful for a new consciousness being anchored in. Men are so powerful.
they are. And I love the men. I really do. I have men clients as well, and I see how eager they are to do good.
Mm-hmm.
They're eager for it. They want to do good. They want to please their children. They want to please their wives. They want to do so good, right? And like you said earlier too, if the partner's not open to receiving because they're a frequency mismatch, that causes a lot of disturbance to our poor men. It really does. And also, we've been programmed to be scared of men.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they'll rape you, they'll touch you, they always
Mm-hmm.
have sex with you. Men's mind are always thinking about sex. They're dirty. No, they're not. Men are always actually thinking on how they can improve and do better with themselves. And they are just trying to basically wear a mask to fit in so they can do better. Majority of them. I mean, there's just programming in other places as well. But I've started to clear that and evaporate that myself as well, because where I grew up in a ghetto, actually. I grew up where there was rapes and murders every single day, in our apartment building and everywhere. And it was inherently placed into me as a little child. You have to take your brother with you when you go outside, otherwise men will rape you.
Yeah, that's connected to what you were talking about earlier when you were speaking about the conditioning in your culture around men being a safety net.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a full circle thing.
it is. And it was so, I had so much fear in me. I wouldn't go to a public bathroom alone. I would just get a UTI because I would just hold it in my bladder, because I just
Mhm.
thought, oh my God, if a man comes in and rapes me, because I was trained like that.
Wow.
When I had
Yeah.
male teachers, I kept a very large physical difference because I just thought, oh, what if they want to touch me or something? Because I was conditioned like that. And also,
Mhm.
anytime I saw a man, I just thought, oh, they're probably thinking about sex because I was taught that. That's all
Yeah.
false. They're not trying to grope you and grab you, and not majority of them. I'm gonna say that
Mhm.
like majority of them are so stressed out about how they're gonna pay the next bill. Majority of men are actually thinking about how they can make more money so they can please themselves and people in their lives. They're not always thinking about sex. Sex is a distraction for them because they feel valued and appreciated when a woman moans their name. So if you have a partner where you feel like they're kind of down, they're not feeling so good, and they're under a bit of provider pressure, I would highly encourage you to just hold their hand and just say their name. Just say their name because they want to feel valued and appreciated. And there's so much programming underneath that, right? Don't cry, you're a man. Don't say anything, you're a man. Men don't talk too much. It's a woman's thing. Blah, 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 right? No, let them talk, hear them out. They have a lot of wisdom to share with us. In fact, when it comes to building foundations, literally physically and mentally and emotionally, men are resilient. Men make it happen. Women do too, but men have a different way where it's so detached from emotions. It's actually coming from more neutrality. Women will be like, I want to build this because, and they'll give you a story. Men are like, we got to build this, and they'll just build it.
I really appreciate the weaving in and out and the circling back to our shared appreciation of men. And I think it's really important given the way that men are publicly degraded societally and culturally right now. And so that's all. Just to like, we love the men and you and I are here for the men
Yes, we are.
to bring them into the wombs of their hearts.
Yes. Okay, this has been way juicier than I expected.
Yeah, well, I knew it was going to be juicy, but you're right. It's been even more juicy.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm feeling completed. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel complete. I
Okay, do
feel
you want to let
complete.
our viewers know how they can find you and contact you? And of course, I will have everything linked below in the description as well.
I love that you just came back into the practicality. I was like, oh yeah, that's something that we do at the end of podcasts. I totally have been in like just full channel mode. Wow. Okay. So yes, I can be found at Worthy and Well or at Casey May Berglund on Instagram. My website is letyourbodylead.com.
All right. It's been a true pleasure. Thank you, my beautiful Soleil sister, and your wisdom and your knowledge. I just have so much gratitude, and I'm giving you a really, really warm hug. And to all the viewers and listeners that tuned in, please do like, comment, subscribe, and let us know how this resonated. And if you felt the healing, let us know. We would love to know.
Yeah,
And on this note, we're closing off. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
thank you.